Bismillah, Bismillah. Yo, what's up? Welcome back to another episode, edition, broadcast, audio essay. I'm your host, Bilal Abdullah. This is M.A.B.I.A, Muslim and Black in America. Hope you all had a good week last week. I had a pretty decent week. It's starting to snow now, which is a problem. Well, it's not starting to snow yet, but it's starting to get real cold out here. And man, I really don't like the winter, man. But inshallah, we get through it. Inshallah, everything goes well. If you want to hit the donation up, it's in the description. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. This is M.A.B.I.A, Muslim and Black in America, with your host, Bilal Abdullah. And, well, the elections just passed, and I'm sure many of you who voted are feeling proud of yourselves that Zaddy gave y'all a pat on the head and a nice sticker to show off. But we will see what black people specifically will get out of it. If it's anything like it's been going on for years, then we already know the answer to what we will get. Nothing. Some say we should participate in local elections, but man, I don't even agree with that. Because in reality, we can do this stuff on our own. We know the whole system is corrupt. So why even go to them on that level? One of the greatest ways to protest this corrupt system is by not participating in the voting process. We can do the rest ourselves, but see, the problem is people don't want to work with each other. This comes from laziness and fear. We want to elect people to do the work for us, and then when they don't, we can blame them instead of ourselves, so it makes us feel good. But as Allah says in the Quran, that the majority will most times be astray, so be careful about following the majority. I was online on Twitter and I saw this picture floating around down a timeline. It's the picture that I have up for for the cover art for this episode. Now I want you to look at it. I cropped out their faces, but look at the picture. You got a Republican and a Democrat all hugged up, and the quote under it says something like, "At the end of the day, we can still be friends even though we have opposing views." Now, Trump is a racist, and in my opinion, anybody that's supporting him is a highly suspected white supremacist. So how, if you are about justice, at the end of the day, you hugged up with someone who sides with a racist and white supremacy? You know why? Because both of y'all, at the end of the day, are fine with white supremacy and are on the same team. In reality, you are allies of one another under the guise of white supremacy, so it doesn't matter to you guys too much which candidate will win, because the system that protects you will still be intact. They are allies of one another under the banner team white supremacy, and many other groups join this team and become its ally. I always wonder, why is it a problem for black Muslims to come together and build and be allies of one another, especially with the things we're going through. You have every other racial group amongst Muslims does it. Right now we see what the Palestinians are constantly going through, and the whole Ummah comes to their aid, whether it be for dua, money. Even people from surrounding areas in that region will go and give humanitarian aid. And the Palestinians deserve all of this. The whole world turns its attention to them. But what about the melanated black people of America, the melanated black Muslims in America, who have been under white supremacy for hundreds of years and who are not too far off from the position of the Palestinians? But the whole Ummah doesn't turn to us in the same way. And then when we have to fend for ourselves and we come together and build and be allies of one another, fighting for justice, when we do it, it becomes, oh, you guys can't do that. There's always a presumed assumption that if black Muslims come together and focus on themselves and our communities, then somehow we will corrupt Islam. It's like they're saying we need to control race or people above us so we don't corrupt the deen and turn it into something else, which is really an insult. You don't hear that talk about other groups. Matter of fact, uh, I just was just watching on Twitter too. Pharrell, he's like some hip hop producer. He produces pop music as well. He gave millions to the Israeli army, and you got Muslims from all walks of life boycotting, saying, I'm going to boycott for real. But when Kanye came out and was making his ridiculous statements and getting his butter biscuits and cooning it up for Donald Trump and saying how slavery was a choice and saying all these other flabbergasting off the wall things, you didn't see nobody saying they gonna boycott him like that. Because nobody cares about the black people of America, whether they be Muslims or not. Nobody cares about the black people of America. Oh, I'm still going to listen to his music. But when it's on the other hand, when it's our brothers, Palestinians, then everybody's going to boycott Pharrell, which he should be boycotted. I agree with that. But let's boycott Kanye as well, too, then. But moving along. Now, this doesn't mean that we black Muslims separate ourselves from the Ummah or anything like that. It means everyone has their tribe. And just like you look after your tribe, then we are allowed to look after ours and to call them to Islam as well. Just like in the past when Islamic dawah was given to different tribes, they would go back to their people and teach them and focus on them, while also being part of the Ummah and working together as well. Everyone should be down for everyone, period. So just like you, the Arab or black African Muslim, is fighting for immigration rights so that your Muslim people from your tribe can come over here, then you need to be fighting for the justice of your black brother here in America. And if you can't do that, then the black Muslims of America have no choice but to band together and focus on themselves, along with other black people who are standing for justice for the black people of America and want to see the system of white supremacy replaced with a system of justice. As a sincere Muslim, you should want justice for all people, not just yours. The problem is that our ummah is divided by everything. Allah says in the Quran in Surah 8 verse 73 that the disbelievers are allies of one another. You know, they will put all their differences aside to focus on certain things. And one of the main things they put their differences aside on is that white supremacy must remain in power. They will put everything aside to make sure that happens and continues. This system is so strong that even Muslim nations will join up with this team and help it as long as they get their money for their oil. They will turn a blind eye to the suffering of the Muslim nations. All that money these rich Arab nations have, there ain't no reason why Palestine shouldn't be free. Or at least being funded on the low so that the people can easily defend themselves even better. Ain't no reason why the black Muslims of America can't get allocated funds from these rich nations that will benefit their whole communities. Not just paying for masajid in areas that will prop up Imam Toms who will lull the congregation to sleep. And if you want to be real, many Muslims in the world look to these nations in reality as if they are gods. They look to these nations as what true Islam is. And if we don't bow to their throne and their authority, then we are not really sincere Muslims and we are causing corruption. But wealth doesn't determine who Allah loves. I was mentioning this on Twitter some days ago. I was talking about the story of Qarun in the time of Musa, who was very wealthy, and he believed that he got his wealth because Allah was so pleased with him, when in fact that was not the case. Allah gives wealth to whomever he chooses amongst those he loves and amongst those he hates. But he also gives faith. He only gives faith to those he loves. So this is one of the main divisions among us. Do you want to be down with Team White Supremacy, or you want to be down with Team Justice and Team Muslims? And most things stem from that. Allah then goes on to say in in this same verse of Surah 873, that if you Muslims don't do the same, as in put your differences aside and come together, holding on to the rope of Allah, then there will be corruption and problems all on the earth. And what do we see today, Muslims? We see corruption and injustice all over the globe. You got KSA, Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, right now, that came into power how? How did the House of Saud come into power? I want y'all to research that and look that up. Whose team did they get down with in order to get this power? I want y'all to research that and look that up. Then you will understand why the people of Yemen are being massacred with genocide. You will understand why they turn a blind eye to a certain degree to the Palestinians. Oh, they give them some money. That's what's up. But the kingdom of Saudi Arabia is a whole nation with tanks and planes and ships, and even they got flying motorcycles. So that little bit of paper they throwing ain't enough. It's not enough. These nations have been given power in that region to keep the Muslims weak, destabilized and confused and separated, and to not stand up to the oppression of the so-called state of Israel. And they do, and so that these nations over there like Kingdom of Saudi Arabia can do Israel's bidding. It's really just like the evil triangle of white supremacy over there. You got America, Israel, and KSA. But like I said, many ignorant Muslims around the globe see the KSA as the end all and be all of what true Islam is, just because they control the Haramain. But that don't mean nothing. The Kuffar of Mecca during the time of the Prophet controlled the Haramain. Does that mean they were on the truth? And one thing I always notice, the end result of people and nations and groups joining Team White Supremacy is that the melanated people in those areas will eventually suffer. Then, over here in America, you have these Imam Toms who are telling black Muslims the same white supremacist talking points. What about black on black crime and black on black issues? It's your fault. Cops kill white people too. They're not really that racist. It's your fault. Like, Trump is a man of God. You have imams and so-called sheikhs saying things like this. They saying off the wall stuff like this. You know why? Because many of their checks and donations come from these same people who claim to be Muslim but have gotten down with Team White Supremacy. So you're not going to hear these imams talking about black issues, solving the black issues of the community, helping the black community out, helping black Muslims out who are one of the most oppressed groups in America. They're not going to talk about that. They'll be in the pulpit, they'll be on the minbars every Friday before these elections came up telling you to make sure to vote, make sure to vote, make sure to vote. But that's because they're, like I said last episode, they're going to get something out of it. Their Arab group is going to get something out of it. Their Indo-Pakistani group is going to get something out of it. Black Muslims is not going to get nothing out of it, but they's telling you to vote. But they never speak to our issues. Just recently, uh, the young person, Jamel Robertson, just got shot by police in Chicago, which is really telling me that these police are gun happy and they're ready to shoot a black person in Chicago, and which adds credence that there are police or government officials doing these shootings in Chicago that are going on. But this young man, Jamel Robertson, he worked as security. He had a security hat on, big as day. He stopped somebody from shooting in the club or wherever they were at. He held him down and waited till police came. And even when the police came, the people were like, no, he's the good guy. He saved the situation. And the police still shot and killed him. And I was watching the video, they were yelling at the police. You had 10 seconds to think about what was going on. So it shows you the mentality of these they're race soldiers. They're not even policemen, because a true police officer would have thought and said, okay, what's going on here? He wouldn't just shot his gun off. No, they're not police officers. They're race soldiers. But you won't hear the imams talking about these type of things. But they'll tell you to go out and vote. It don't matter. Your vote don't matter, because the same thing that happened to the Democrats, the same thing gonna happen to Republicans. We still getting oppressed. It's going to progress even more and more to where, like the Palestinians, may Allah free them and give them victory. It's going to progress more and more until we're like the Palestinians. But the only difference is nobody's going to give a damn about us. But let me continue. See, if you want Team Muslim, then we are to be allies of one another, period. If you fight for us, then we will fight for you. You want us to, you can't play both sides of the fence. If you fighting for the justice of just your racial group of Muslims and then turning a blind eye to the other Muslims, then whose team are you really on? To those immigrant Muslims who come over here from the Middle East, whose team are you really on? You're fighting for these immigration policies. I see you set up shop in the black neighborhoods, but won't teach Islam and won't give dawah. And also, even the black Muslims, you see them as less than you. Even the Muslims who come from Africa, just as black as we are, but they program you to not associate with us or marry with us because we are the lesser blacks. And many of y'all fall for it too. So whose team are you really on? Matter of fact, how many imams do we see standing up against white supremacy, calling it out, and standing up for the injustices of black people of America and the black Muslims of America? Only imam I seen in the streets and speaking against injustices is Omar Suleiman. I haven't seen many others. So that's what I'm saying. You're telling us to vote in these minbar, which you shouldn't even be doing, but then you turn a blind eye to your own people. If you were helping us fighting for us the injustices against black people in America, fighting for us against injustices against black Muslims in America, then we would be more willing to fight for you. But it's only few and far in between. So, like I said, Umar Suleiman is the only one I've heard speaking out against certain things, and that's really about it. So the Ummah should not be surprised that black American Muslims band together with themselves and other black people who are about justice, because where are our brothers and sisters of the globe at? If you're not going to join up with us to help us crush white supremacy, but instead going to use it to only benefit your groups and turn a blind eye to us, then you made it clear whose team you on and who you see as your ally. There's, now there's nothing wrong with being different. There's nothing wrong with having your tribe and own nations of this nature. The thing is, we are all Muslims and a part of this ummah. So at the end of the day, when stuff goes down, all these differences we have shouldn't be roadblocks for us being one and all holding to the rope of Allah. If you want to, like I said, if you want to be on team white supremacy or its derivatives, then we have no choice but to turn from you and focus on ourselves and work with those who want to see justice. And yes, black people of America have a right to be selfish about the things they want for their people first. Why? Because we've been here since the beginning and still haven't received anything, while others come and receive all those things before us and we're still left wanting. So to a certain degree, we have to be selfish. But that's all I wanted to come to talk to y'all today about. Let's continue to make dua for our brothers and sisters all across the globe, especially in Palestine, especially in Yemen, in China as well. Like I said, you see it wherever people have gotten down with team white supremacy to some degree. The melanated people will be the first ones to be oppressed and continuously oppressed. You see it in China, you see it in Palestine, you see it in Yemen. So you know whose team these people are on when you see things like this going down. But let's continue to make dua for them. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe. Thank you for tuning in. I'm your host, Bilal Abdullah. If I say anything incorrect, it was from the shaitan. If I say anything good, it was from Allah. If you got anything corrective to say, put it down in the comments. If you like it, put it down in the comments. Don't forget the thumbs up, all that good stuff. And until next time, inshallah, this is M.A.B.I.A, Muslim and Black in America.